We're ranking the 8 strongest samurai warriors in Japanese history, based on battlefield victories, legendary duels, tactical innovation, and enduring cultural impact. From daring battlefield commanders and undefeated duelists to warriors whose fates remain mysterious, this countdown features revolutionaries and legends whose feats rippled through history. Who shattered armies with just a handful of men, and who reshaped warfare forever? Let's begin the list with number 8. Eighth place belongs to Minamoto no Yoshitsune, the battlefield prodigy whose tactics rewrote the rules of samurai warfare. Born during the chaos of the Heiji Rebellion, orphaned and sent to a temple, Yoshitsune secretly trained with mountain monks, forging a path few dared follow. At just 15, he defeated the infamous bandit Kumasaka Chohan in single combat, but it was on the cliffs of Ichinotani in 1184 where his legend truly began. Leading 3,000 men down a sheer ravine, he struck the Taira camp with such surprise that 10,000 defenders scattered in panic, the impossible descent turning the tide of battle. The next year at Dan no Ura, Yoshitsune timed his attack to the shifting tides, unleashing a naval ambush that shattered the Taira fleet and ended the Genpei War as the young Emperor Antoku drowned. Yet victory brought betrayal. His brother Yoritomo declared him an outlaw. Cornered, Yoshitsune watched his companion Benkei die standing, pierced by arrows, before taking his own life at 30. His daring and tragic end echo through Japanese culture, immortalized in epic tales and theater, a symbol of genius undone by fate. Number 7 is Tomoe Gozen, the legendary Onabu Geisha, whose feats echo through the pages of the Heike Monogatari. As first captain to Lord Minamoto Yoshinaka during the Genpei War, Tomoe shattered every expectation for women in battle. At Yokotagawara in 1181, she personally claimed 7 enemy heads, an act that defined prestige in samurai culture. 3 years later, at Uchide no Hama, she led just 300 riders against an overwhelming force of 6,000. Only 5 survived, and she was among them. Her most famous moment came at Awazu in 1184. Ordered to leave her lord's side, Tomoe refused to fade quietly. She rode straight into a knot of 30 enemy warriors, unhorsed the champion Onda no Hachiro Morishige, pinned him, and decapitated him on the spot. After that, she vanished into legend. Some say she became a nun and lived to 91, others that she died in battle. Tomoe remains the only female warrior described in detail in ancient war tales, her story challenging the boundaries of gender and heroism in samurai history. Number 6 is Honda Tadakatsu, the samurai whose battlefield record borders on myth. Over the course of 55 campaigns, not once did he suffer defeat or even a serious wound, a feat that set him apart in an era when most warriors bore scars as badges of survival. His weapon, the Tonbogiri, or dragonfly cutter, was said to be so sharp that a dragonfly landing on its blade was sliced in two. Tadakatsu's helmet, crowned with towering deer antlers, made him a living icon on the field, instantly recognizable and feared. In 1600 at Sekigahara, he anchored Tokugawa Ieyasu's right flank, charging through musket fire and breaking enemy lines at a decisive moment. Oda Nobunaga himself marveled, Tadakatsu's bravery knows no bounds. His contemporaries whispered that supernatural forces protected him, but the truth lay in his relentless discipline and skill. Dying peacefully at 62, Tadakatsu's unblemished record remains a singular achievement in samurai history, a standard of invincibility before the age of tactical masterminds. Number 5 is Takeda Shingen, the daimyo whose banners read Furinkazan, swift as wind, silent as forest, fierce as fire, immovable as mountain. Shingen's mastery of cavalry tactics transformed the Sengoku battlefield, turning mounted warriors into an unstoppable force. His doctrine of rapid movement and shock attacks was more than a motto. It was a living strategy drilled into every rider under his command. At the Fourth Battle of Kawanakajima in 1561, Shingen's 20,000 clashed with Iwasugi Kenshin's 13,000 in a contest of wits and steel. Amid the chaos, Kenshin broke through the lines and charged straight for Shingen's command post. In a moment, burned into legend, Kenshin's blade met Shingen's iron warfan, steel on steel, general against general, as the tide of battle surged around them. Though the day ended with thousands dead on both sides and no clear victor, Shingen's discipline and innovation endured. In 1573 at Mikitagahara, his cavalry routed the combined might of Oda Nobunaga and Tokugawa Ieyasu, forcing Ieyasu into a panicked retreat. Shingen's sudden death that same year halted his march on Kyoto, but his tactical brilliance, immortalized in chronicles like the Koyo Gunkan, continues to shape the mythos of the samurai age. Number 4 belongs to Uesugi Kenshin, the warlord whose battlefield presence blended strategy, spirituality, and discipline. Born into chaos and sent to a temple as a child, Kenshin returned to seize Echigo province at just 14, forging his identity as a celibate, sake-loving devotee of Bishamonten, the Buddhist god of war. His soldiers believed he fought as a living avatar of the deity, and his tactics seemed touched by something beyond ordinary skill. At Kawanakajima, Kenshin developed the rotating echelon formation. Fresh troops cycled constantly to the front, keeping his lines unbroken even as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm lesser armies. But it was at Tedoragawa in 1577 that his tactical genius reached its peak. Facing Oda Nobunaga's force of 40,000 with barely half that number, Kenshin orchestrated a feigned retreat, drew the enemy across the Tedori River, then opened the floodgates in the night. The sudden torrent crippled the Oda vanguard, and Kenshin's cavalry swept the field. He died suddenly in 1578, struck by illness in the most human of places, a latrine. In death, as in life, Kenshin left behind a legacy of innovation, piety, and the unyielding will of a warrior who saw himself as both man and god. Number 3 is Sanada Yukimura. The defiant tactician whose stand at Osaka became the last great drama of samurai siege warfare. When Tokugawa Ieyasu offered him riches for betrayal, Yukimura posted the bribe letter on the castle wall for all to see, turning temptation into a rallying cry. His answer was the Sanada Maru, a detached earthwork fort built at lightning speed on Osaka's vulnerable southern flank. With just 7,000 defenders, including 6,000 arquebusiers, Yukimura's garrison repelled wave after wave of 30,000 Tokugawa attackers. On December 4th, 1614, his men broke through enemy lines 3 separate times in a single day, routing the elite Maeda clan and proving that layered earthworks and disciplined gunfire could blunt even overwhelming numbers. The final act came at Tennoji, where Yukimura donned his iconic red armor and led a desperate charge straight through a force of 150,000. Exhausted and alone, he sat beside a roadside shrine and met his end at the hands of Nishio Munetsugu. Though defeated, Number 2 is Oda Nobunaga, the warlord whose ruthless vision shattered centuries of tradition and rewrote the playbook of samurai warfare. At Nagashino in 1575, Nobunaga faced the legendary Takeda cavalry with a weapon that would change history, the arquebus. He positioned 3,000 gunners in 3 rotating lines behind wooden palisades, each line firing as the others reloaded. When the Takeda charged, the result was carnage. Over 10,000 horsemen fell to continuous volleys, proving that disciplined firepower could crush even the most feared warriors. Nobunaga's modernization did not stop on the battlefield. In 1571, he ordered the burning of Mount Hiei, annihilating 3,000 to 4,000 monks, women, and children who resisted his rule. This brutality was calculated, a warning to all who defied him. By the late 1570s, Nobunaga controlled 1/3 of Japan, his ambition driving the nation toward unification. But in 1582, betrayal struck at Honnoji. Surrounded by his own general Akechi Mitsuhide, Nobunaga chose seppuku over capture. His body was lost to the flames, but his innovations, rotating volley fire, strategic terror, and the embrace of foreign technology set the stage for the final age of samurai and the rise of a new Japan. And finally, in first place stands Miyamoto Musashi, whose legend is built on a record unmatched in samurai history. At 13, he faced his first duel against the seasoned samurai Arima Kihei, wielding only a wooden sword, and killed his opponent in moments. This was only the beginning. Musashi's path led him through over 60 recorded duels, not a single one ending in defeat, a claim preserved by his followers and echoed in martial traditions, though only a handful are documented in contemporary records. In Kyoto, he dismantled the prestigious Yoshioka school, defeating its masters and surviving a massed ambush, all while refining his revolutionary two-sword technique. The defining moment came on Ganryu Island in 1612, where he faced Sasaki Kojiro, famed for his deadly Nodachi. Musashi arrived deliberately late, unsettling Kojiro, then struck him down with a bokken carved from an oar, demonstrating psychological mastery as much as physical skill. His legacy extends beyond combat. In his final years, Musashi retreated to a cave where he composed the Book of Five Rings, a treatise on strategy and self-discipline that remains influential worldwide. 60 duels, 0 defeats, and a philosophy that outlived the age of the sword, Musashi's name endures as the ultimate samurai standard of mastery. Across all 8 warriors, one pattern stands out. True samurai strength blends skill, strategy, and enduring legend. Whether on the battlefield or in single combat, their impact shapes Japan's identity even now. In the end, samurai power is as much about legacy as it is about victory.